In this video, we'll quickly go over the answers to the last couple of tasks and then set the scene for your next lesson on trig. So there's the answers to task 6, and remember they are in a PDF as well on Moodle, and there are my suggestions for 7. Now the last question is an interesting one. It's asking us to how would we work out, say, the adjacent if we knew the hypotenuse with a 20-degree angle. Well, we'd need to know the ratio for this, and obviously we'd need to know the ratio if we had any angle, and we'll get on to that later. But now I want to talk a little bit more about these different ratios. Here is our table of ratios for 30 degrees and 40 degrees. Now, each of these ratios has a name. The first one, the opposite over the hypotenuse, is called the sine trigonometric ratio, and it's shortened to, well, that's pronounced sine. I know it says sin, but it's pronounced sine. The adjacent divided by the hypotenuse is called the cosine, and that is shortened to cos. And finally, the last one, the opposite divided by the adjacent, is called the tangent, and that's shortened to tan. Sometimes we write these out as equations, so if I bring these through here, we've got sine of the angle is opposite divided by hypotenuse. The cos of the angle is the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, and the tan of the angle is opposite over adjacent. Now, you're going to need to remember those 3 equations when you're working through these questions. And we use this mnemonic, SOHCAHTOA, to remember it. Let me show you how that works. It's split into 3 different sections. Here we've got the SO part, where the S stands for the sine, the O for the opposite, and the H for the hypotenuse. The K, the C is for cos, the A is for the adjacent, the H is for the hypotenuse, and lastly the TOA, the T stands for the tan, the O for the opposite, and the A for the adjacent. So this SOHCAHTOA is going to be really useful to you. Now there's a reason why those 3 letters are written slightly up. That's to remind you that they are dividing sums here, and the top letter is on the top of the division sum. Now that we've worked out the names for each of these and the formulas and a nice mnemonic to work them out, how are we going to know the different ratios for all the different angles? Well, here's a trig table. Look at the top here. We've got our sine of an angle, cos of an angle, and tan of an angle. And if we find the 30 degrees line, there we are. We've got 0.5, 0.87, and 0.58. Also, we can look at the same there for 40 degrees for theirs. And I've got every other one. So, for instance, 20 degrees, which we were looking at before, had a sine of 0.34. and 0.94 for the cos and 0.36 for the tan. So if I had this table, I could work out all the different trig ratios. Now, hopefully you've spotted a problem here. It doesn't tell me what 1.5 degrees is or 23.2, and I'd obviously need to have this table with me. Well, luckily, we have these stored on a calculator. And if you look closely here, we have the sine button, the cos button, and the tan button. And if you press sine of 30, you should get 0.5, or if you have tan of 7, say, you should get 0.1228 on there. In the next lesson, we will start by you exploring these buttons to make sure you can work them. And then we'll start the process of trying to solve some of these questions on your own.